live. So we are live now. So everybody, we are live. Somebody said I'm in the program now. Somebody just sent me a message. I'm in the program now. So everybody, we are live. We are live. All right, we are live. All right, amazing. Oh my goodness. Let me get my feedback. Uh, uh, okay, we are live. Oh, this is fantastic. Don't let me mute myself here. Okay, that is perfect. If you have another device, you can check us out on Facebook. This is how we are going to appear. If you have another device, you can check us out on Facebook. I have the camera for all of everybody showing now on Facebook. We have 2 people watching us from Facebook. Um, okay, Jafar is watching from Facebook. I can see Jafar. Jafar, you need to leave Facebook. You need to leave
Sure.
Facebook. Just leave Facebook.
Yeah. I was just going to check if things are okay.
All right. All right. I have an interference coming from somewhere. Are you hearing the noise?
No.
Okay, you're not hearing the noise. I think the noise just stopped now. Mr. Johnson, it seems there is somebody coming from your background.
Oh, okay. Let me check. I think it's my roommate.
Yeah, I hear a lot of things from your background.
Is it how I can mute myself?
I can mute you from here. I just muted you from here. All right. All right. Okay. All right. All right. I think we are good. We just got this going. Your tops, so blah 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 blah. Okay, a couple of minutes, please. I think we are set. God. Oh God. Oh God. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and I will try as much as possible to. I want to find a way of sharing this live to a particular group, and because a lot of people are looking out for this live video. All right, I think so. I see people dropping comments now. Okay. All right, I see people dropping comments. Please let me share it here first, and then we will get started. Okay. I think look to the camera. Okay. Can you help me share to the admin group? Yeah, thank you. Help me share to the admin group, and then we could have a lot of people who are interested joining us. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good day, depending on where you are joining us from. and we are excited to have a whole lot of us online. For those who will be joining, please let us know in the comment section as soon as you join. As soon as you join, just drop a message for us in the comment section. As soon as you join, we are watching the comments, and if you have a question, good afternoon, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I see you. Good afternoon, Elizabeth. Dropped the message a minute ago. Good afternoon, Elizabeth. So we would keep on checking the messages as soon as you join, and we would, if you have a question for any of the panelists, please feel free to drop your questions for us, and we would be glad to pick up your question and send it to the right panelist. My name is Emmanuel Adewale Babalola. For those of you who are probably meeting me for the first time, I'm also going to allow the panelists to all introduce themselves. I'm going to allow the panelists to introduce themselves, and we can get to meet the panelists before we go into the discussion properly. So this is actually the goal of this platform, is to provide you an opportunity for in choosing your academic mentor. We'll be talking about a whole lot of things. That is what this is all about. So please get ready for a roller coaster of information. I am a doctoral candidate. Okay, now. Oh, okay. All right. I'm a doctoral candidate at the College of Education. You may not understand why I need to blush, because it's not easy to get to that point. They will tell you, they would tell you, you would understand better. So I'm a doctoral candidate at Purdue College of Education. My major is instructional design, learning design and technology. That's my specific major. And this is my fourth year. This is my fourth year at Purdue. I am a Rose Fellow. I'm a Rose Fellow. That is all about me. And if you have any question, we'll be willing and happy to take your questions. We'll allow Jafar to go ahead and introduce himself. Then we'll follow that up with Roseline. Then we'll go with they'll go ahead with Tybresha, and then we'll come for Johnson. Jafar, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
So, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, hello everyone, I'm Jafar and I'm a third year PhD student. So at Purdue College of Education, the same field like Emmanuel, I'm studying learning design and technology. So happy to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Jafar. Please, Roseline, go ahead and introduce yourself. Roseline, are you muted? Seems you are muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, I was
Perfect.
muted actually. Okay. So my name is Roseline Adewi and I'm a PhD student or candidate as they say it so I'm in the College of Liberal Arts. Yeah, so basically that's all about me. Thank you. I I'm glad to be here today.
She just said that's all about her, but I think you all saw her profile on Facebook, so I'm not going to say any other thing. But you should be able to judge if that is all about her. All right, I'm going to allow Tybresha to go ahead and introduce herself. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So my name is Tybresha Glass. I am a fourth year PhD candidate in the College of Education studying Gifted, Creative, and Talented Studies. And I'm very excited to be joining you guys today.
Thank you. And here we have Johnson Oluwati. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Johnson Oluwati Nelson. I'm also a fourth year PhD student at Purdue University in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Nice to meet you all.
All right, so it seems all the faces you'll be seeing are actually Purdue connections. So you'll be meeting with Purdue fellows today, but I am so excited because I know we have 5 people watching us and people are asking us how they will share the link. So please go ahead and share the event link. If you are watching us and you want to share the link, just go ahead and share the event link. Once you share the event link or you share the live link, people should be able to have access to joining the webinar. Over 26 people signified that they will be attending, but let's see how it turns out. So the first thing I would like all of us to do, starting with Jafar, is in 5 minutes, just tell us about your journey to Purdue. Where are you originally from? How did you get to Purdue? What brought you to Purdue? Just in 3 to 5 minutes, just give us a brief discussion about your journey to Purdue as an international
Thank you.
student. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm not going to talk about the topic of mentorship right now. Yes, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Just
That's
okay. So, yeah, I'm from Iran originally. So, my background is I have my master's in English language teaching, and I also worked as a programmer in my country. I wanted to look for something that connects education to technology and programming. So, um, when it comes to my part that I'm going to talk about mentorship, I'm going to talk in detail that how I joined Purdue. All in all, I can say that I was looking for something to connect education to technology, and so I was so lucky to find Purdue. So on September 2022, I joined Purdue University. Is there anything else that I need to add, Emmanuel?
okay. I think you are good. I think you
Thank
are
you.
good.
Thank you.
You are welcome, Prudence. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining. All right, I would go ahead with Roseline Adewiyi. Please, Roseline, tell us briefly about your journey to Purdue. You are muted. You are muted. You are muted. Okay, you are not mute. Okay. All right, please go ahead. On mute. Okay, go ahead now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so please don't mind me. I don't know what's wrong with me. My voice has been. I just don't know. Yeah. So, talking about my journey to Purdue. I'm from Nigeria. I studied French literature in my first degree and my master's second degree. And during my master's program, I actually knew that I would like to come to Purdue for my PhD. I'd like to like pursue my PhD program, but I didn't know where, when, and how to go about it. Then I came to the US in 2018 for a conference, like a fully funded program opportunity fellowship. Then I met with a friend of mine from secondary school, and then when we actually had a conversation, she told me about the opportunity to come to the US for my PhD program. And as at then, I didn't know that it was possible, because then when they say information is power, like I would say yes, I'm actually a testimony. Information has actually like brought me to where I am today, because if I didn't have access to some pieces of information I've had in my journey, I wouldn't really have had access to a lot of opportunities I've been able to access up till now. So we had that conversation. I just invited her because that was the last day of the fellowship, and we had like a gala night, and I was like, okay, could you please come? And she came around, and that was how the conversation started, and that's for the interest of coming to the US for my PhD program. Then when I went back home, I was still doing my masters then, so I started applying for different opportunities. I went online, checked a lot of universities in the US. I think then I checked like more than 100 universities in the US. So something like going online, I would check like University of so Department of French PhD program. Every single day, I was always on my laptop checking different universities out. Then I would also contact the graduate secretary and all that. So the first year that I actually applied, all the universities actually gave me breakfast. So breakfast meaning that they all gave me like everything was rejection. There was no success story for me. So again, later after that, I went on to so I got employed with the African Union. So then I was actually about finishing my should I say my contract with them. So I tried again applying to universities in the US. So coming to Purdue, I didn't apply to Purdue the first time I actually did. Then the second time I was also checking out more schools. Then I saw Purdue University. Then when I saw Purdue University, I was like, okay, yes. But one of the reasons why I actually like even applied to Purdue University, the graduate secretary that responded to me via email, she was one of the sweetest, like people that responded to me. She was following up. Her responses were maybe because I like epistles, like she was very, very she sent me epistles explaining everything, all the processes, everything, the follow-up and everything. I just knew that no, Rosalie, you just As like, yeah, so that's the story for me. And that, and even until, I think another thing is that when I came to Purdue, I didn't know that it was actually a reputable university. I just came, I didn't know. I think I knew until my second semester that, okay, yeah, this is actually a good school. For me, it was just more like, okay, the graduate secretary was really nice, and yeah, that's it. That's my journey. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. That was so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. One thing she said that is very, very interesting to me was the fact that she got served breakfast. For those of you who are not familiar with the word breakfast, you will understand it better by and large. When you apply to universities and they tell you, oh, of souls, we are so sorry, we are not taking you, we are so sorry. Don't get frustrated, don't get frustrated. She said she got served breakfast. I have been served breakfast. I doubt if there's anybody here who has not been served breakfast. So I have been served breakfast. So definitely, if you're also going to apply, get ready to be served breakfast. All right. Let's hear from Tybresha. Just tell us. I know Tybresha is not an international student, but I want us to give us that perspective of a home student. Give us that perspective of how, why did you choose Purdue. Now, this is not an advert for Purdue, okay? Please don't get it twisted. This is not an advert for Purdue. And if you consider it as an advert for Purdue, well, it's okay because Purdue gave me 4 years of funding, Rose Fellow. So at least I should be able to advertise for them. So, but this is not an advert for Purdue. But most of us here are actually from Purdue. So, Tybresha, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think I'm gonna have to co-sign, because I didn't know that Purdue was a top school either when I applied and got accepted. So I received my bachelor's from Mississippi State University in educational psychology, and I just so happened to have two professors who I was taking during my senior year, who were also graduates of Purdue. And I initially wasn't planning to go to graduate school. My plan was to find a job somewhere in my local district, because I was in education, and so. But I made the decision to apply for graduate schools, and I was thinking, applying to some that were a little closer to home. And so when I started to ask for recommendation letters, one of the professors that was a graduate of Purdue actually said, I think you should go to a good school. And so, though I thought that, the ones I was applying for were good schools, she kind of helped me through the process. She was a graduate of the program that I'm in now. And she was able to connect me with my then advisor, Dr. Marcia Gentry. And they assured me that there would be full funding, and that was important to me. And so I started making those travel plans, and I made the decision to come to Purdue. And I've been here for what, 4 years now. So yeah, that's kind of the journey for me.
Oh my goodness. Like, we are yet to get into the discussion proper, but I want you to start tying key points from all this introduction. She said something. She said full funding. That is important to her. She's not an international student, okay? She is a home student, okay? She was born and bred in the United States of America, and the most important thing to her is full funding. So, for those of you who are Africans, and when we talk about full funding, you think that we are playing, you will understand it better by and large. All right, let's hear from Johnson. Let's learn about your journey to Purdue. Johnson, please go ahead and let us hear about your journey to Purdue.
Yeah, thank you, Babalola. Yeah, I think my own journey is a little bit similar to Roseline journey, but basically, I heard about getting a PhD to US University from bachelor degree to PhD journey. That was in around April 2021. I was working in Niger State. So one of my friends got it and he told me he was going for his visa from bachelor to PhD. I was like, that's not possible. I have never heard about that before. So when he told me about it, I was like, okay. I was waiting for him to go and get a visa so I can ask him how possible and how he went about it. So when he came back, I was like, can you just tell me what you did or what is the process of getting this PhD? And, we met like 30 minutes and he explained some stuff to me and he told me all you need to do get your CV, write a good statement of purpose. And if you're a Nigerian, I think you'll be familiar with a phrase called code mail. Code mail is like you reaching out to a professor, right? With your CV and your experience, what you can do, what you've done, and what the professor have done that align to your own area of interest. So he taught me how to go about it, and I prepared the code email. I prepared my CV, and I started reaching out to professors in the US. So within 3 weeks, I was able to send like 70 code email to different professors in different universities. And fortunately for me, within that 3 weeks, I got about 4 good responses. I got about the rest were like, sorry, I don't have funding right now. Sorry, I'm not taking student. Sorry, I'm not recruiting PhD student. But I got like 4 good responses, and I had interview with 2 of them. One of them offered me master's in structural engineering at University of Connecticut. And when I sent a mail to my current professor at Purdue, he responded 15 minutes after I sent the email that, hey, Nelson, can we meet on Zoom? And we had a brief meeting, and here we go. He was, ready to fund my PhD program, and here we are in Purdue. So that was basically the journey, and it was quite interesting.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know how many of you would actually, how many of you heard what he said. One of the things he said is that he sent 70 cold emails to professors. And if you think that this is for those who don't want to do anything, this is for those who are literally lazy, well, I'm telling you, I'm here to bust your bubble. This is not for those who are literally lazy. That is why you need to sit down and please pick up your pen and start writing, because the things you will be hearing from these amazing people today, from these amazing panelists that you are getting for free, it's an information most people paid for. So please get your writing materials ready. Get your writing materials ready. It's going to be a roller coaster of information. It's going to be a roller coaster of information. Well, my own journey to Purdue is quite a little bit strange. I remembered I got several invites to probably go to South Korea. My twin brother then was studying in South Korea, having his master's degree, and then they wanted me to come over to South Korea. And I was like, no, I don't feel any attraction to South Korea. But however, I was teaching in a school called Kingsford Academy in Lagos. I was teaching in a school called Kingsford Academy in Lagos, and it's a British school. The principal is a Briton, Mrs. Olubumi Olowoye. That was where I was teaching, and then she gave us access to a couple of professional development programs, professional development programs. So these professional development programs, I started taking courses with British Council. British Council, I didn't even know it's going to be important. I took those courses, and then I learned about instructional design. I learned about learning design and technology, and I was like, oh, this would likely be the solution to what I'm looking for. Students have been having challenges with physics, and then if instructional design can bridge the gap, let me look out for a school that that is leading in the world with instructional design. The first thing I looked out for was countries leading in technology. I zoned in on 4 countries. Then I looked for schools within those 4 countries. Then I settled on Purdue. And then immediately I settled on Purdue, the next thing I did was I sent my cold emails. Then I went to LinkedIn, look out for those professors on LinkedIn, and made them my friends, and then started following up. Hey, how, prof? Oh, it's nice meeting you on LinkedIn. I sent you an email. Did you check it? Like, oh, really? I'm going to check it. So a lot of cold emails get missing. I miss a lot of spam mails. But if you also know how to follow them up on LinkedIn, it's going to be a bonus to you. And that was how I met with my advisor, Dr. Hedwig Keeler, an amazing person. She's an amazing mentor. I can say that anywhere. So thank you all for introducing yourself. I'm so glad that we started on this very amazing introductory note. So let's get into the conversation. I think I would really like us to hear first from Roseline Adewuyi. I really like us to hear first from Roseline Adewuyi. So please, Roseline, please go ahead and
Okay.
talk to us about statement of purpose. Why is this important? Why is the statement of purpose important? Of what use is the statement of purpose to those who are watching us? Why should they take this particular information, and what do you think should be in their statement of purpose? Roseline, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you for having me today, and I believe that this conversation will be helpful for people who are trying to navigate how to get into graduate school. Your statement of purpose is actually one of the most important documents, so to say, that you would actually submit for your grad school program or application. So first and foremost, talking about statement of purpose, I know there are quite a number of samples out there, even on Google, different spaces and all that you can have actually like even take a look at so that you can adapt or yeah you can adopt you can adopt for your own SOP. But I know that this is a word of AI, and first and foremost, of course, I'm not the one to say that AI is bad or so to say, no, not at all. AI should actually help you in terms of yeah, it should be a tool for you, not like you totally relying on AI. Because there have been conversations these days whereby professors are talking about the fact that quite a number of people are using AI, and of course, one thing about AI is that when you actually use AI, it's not original, it's quite generic. And of course, they notice a pattern like, okay, you're something that's quite generic. So I would like to say that please be original in your write up and try to bring your own personal story to you, your own, like, yes, so be original, bring your story, bring your own personality into the SOP and not just something generic. Of course, it's something you can do whereby when you're done with the SOP, you can then you have some AI tools to like maybe check your spellings, your grammatical, your errors and all. Yeah, that's actually absolutely good, but not relying totally on the AI to do the job for you. So talking about how to go, the structure of statement of purpose, I would actually say, okay, this will be good. First and foremost, you have actually seen a program that you like. So that's another thing too, especially if you're applying to different programs, to try to also like structure your SOP in such a way that you look at. So for me, the second year I applied to grad school, I applied to 10 universities the second time, and I had different statement of purposes for statements of purpose for different universities I applied to, because University A may be asking for different thing from University B, and also there may be some nuances as regards the application. A school may be like, okay, they need this, another school may need this. So when I get into that, so first and foremost, the first paragraph or the first thing you may want to start with, you may need to identify a research gap in the field, what you'd like to work on. Like, okay, maybe there's something about the field I feel like, okay, yes, this is like a gap in the field, and I think I would want to like, solve a problem. Of course, the purpose of research is that you are identifying a problem and you like to actually solve that problem. So talk about a research gap. You can also even like talk about statistics around that you can use to substantiate, okay, yes, like the problem you're actually talking about. I know usually most times some people they will actually start with a sub story. It depends if it's something original, but I noticed that sometimes there's this trend whereby some people just want to push that. Definitely, you should not do that if you feel like, yeah, it doesn't have to be that always. Sometimes just like start with, okay, research gap in your field and how you would like to like, come in terms of solving that problem in your field. So try to talk about that, and that will actually like, give way to like, how you set the tone for your SOP. Then afterwards, you can then talk about what you've done in the past. So you've talked about the research gap right now. Then you talk about what you've done in the past. That, okay, for example, okay, I've actually like, I want to do this, but then in the past I've actually done this, and how that relates to your current research, and how that relates to your future research. So you can then connect the dots. So I always tell people it's always good for you to have this flow when you're talking about your essay. For your first paragraph, the second paragraph, third paragraph, fourth, you're connecting the dots. So not like you're talking about a problem in your first paragraph. Your second paragraph, you're talking about a current research that does not have any bearing with your first paragraph. Although, yes, sometimes I understand that maybe you are actually proposing something in your first paragraph, but however, your second paragraph, maybe you've not really done something in that line. It's a new field you want to like delve into, and yes, then you then show that okay, not like okay, you've actually like done this in the past, but okay, maybe your interest was actually spurred through so, and you believe that you have the necessary skills to actually like even like how would I say like pivot into a new field. It's absolutely fine. Not everybody actually does what maybe they did in their first degree or something like that for their PhD program. So there and then you then tell, okay, the interest, although you didn't do this, yes, you like to do this. And for some of us, it was like everything was just synchronizing. Okay, first paragraph, yes, the research gap. Second, okay, yes, this is what I've done in the past. Everything aligning your current, like, okay, I've done this, blah, blah, blah. Then you talk about that. Then another thing you can also add is that if you have a publication you've done and that publication is also like in line with the research you're also talking about or you're proposing or you've even done in the past and you like to deepen that research, you can also then talk about the fact that okay, you have publications so. And another thing I've noticed when I actually like review some SOPs, I kind of feel like quite a number of times some people actually underplay the role of their own their degree projects when they actually write SOPs. I don't know, for some reasons, I feel like a lot of people do not bring that to the fore. For example, I came to for my PhD program something gender related. Yes, I'm studying French literature, but so studying French literature, we analyze novels, but the kind of novels I analyze has to do with like the plight of women and things like that. So for me, this was what I also did during my first degree. Like my project was also about women and things like that. So some people would just like, downplay the role of their thesis or their degree project and they wouldn't even mention that. So then, of course, that's also a place to show that, yes, I've actually done something like this project for my first degree and master's. So I have the enough tools, enough skills to be able to like to be able to do research in that area. So please, if your degree project aligns, so please do not fail to mention that in that second paragraph or your next paragraph talking about okay, your current research or what you've done before in that line. So please and please, I'm emphasizing this again, please do not downplay the role of your degree project, maybe even your master's thesis, especially if those things align, please and please. Then another thing after that, when you've mentioned that, another thing you then afterwards try to mention other things you've done that relate to what you're coming for. Maybe for example, you have like a leading role, maybe like volunteering role, or maybe like extracurricular role, things you've done before in the past that actually relate to what you're going for. For example, someone maybe already in the first paragraph, the person has already talked about the fact that there's a research gap already, maybe as relates to maybe something about environment. The person is coming for something like environmental engineering, and maybe the person has identified a research gap already, first paragraph about maybe climate change, environment, and things like that. The third paragraph, maybe if the person has done like a volunteering role before on the environment with an NGO, that's another place for the person to shine outside the academia scope. So please and please try to. So another thing is that's why quite a number of times a lot of people say that there may be a lot of first class graduates out there, but sometimes what actually makes one first class graduate much more outstanding than other first class graduates may be the place of volunteering, extracurricular activities. So that's why it's very important. So when they see that this person has, this volunteering role, this person has this leadership role, it makes them see that this person is a well-rounded person. This person is not just one-way traffic, so to say. This person has experience, not just in the academia alone, but outside academia. So if you've led an organization before and it aligns with what you're talking about, please feel free to mention that. Okay, you've done something in this line, please feel free to mention that. Volunteering, you volunteered, so please feel free to mention that. You've done something, it may even be like a one-day event. Please, at the end of the day, it's your story. Talk about that. You've done so. in the past, that is the place to shine. Then another note of warning I would like to say, and it's, I don't know, sometimes when I see that, it's actually like, I don't know why, like I've seen CVs, so this is why I review CVs, especially in my field, and sometimes when I see some things, I don't know why. I get the fact that quite a number of people they talk about NYC in a way that okay, NYC is a waste of time. Yeah, I know
Hmm.
there is this conversation. However, for me, I would say that this is 1 year of your life and you should be purposeful and strategic about how you actually like navigate this. Yes, this may not directly be about NYC, but I will link it up later. I remember, like, even myself, I had issues with NYC during my time because I was not even mobilized on time. And that actually made me hate the whole idea of NYC. But eventually, when I started, something like I had to sit myself down, like, okay, this is 1 year of your life. And you'd better make use of it very well. Like you just have to, yes. So that was what I told myself then. And I was able to maximize my NYC year, to a very like, yeah, it was actually very very like I made it happen, let me put it that way. So talking about volunteering experience, I noticed that quite a number of people with the volunteering experience, they were actually part of a, what's it called, CDS group in their NYC year. And maybe the CDS group, maybe something they did during their CDS group actually aligns with.
Sorry to cut you in, Roseline. Can you please tell us what NYSC means and what
Okay.
CDS mean? Thank you.
Okay, all right, it's okay. So NYC means National Youth Service Corps. So this is actually a program in Nigeria whereby once you graduate, you have to enroll in that program. It is mandatory for all Nigerians, especially if you're below 30 years. If you're above 30 years, then you get an exemption letter.
Exemption.
So it is actually a system whereby for a whole year, you actually transfer to another like region outside your own region. So it's a way of actually promoting unity among Nigerians. So aside where you're born, where you actually school, go to another region to get to learn about their culture, what they do, and things like that. And during the all 1 year, you actually be posted to an organization to work with during that 1 year. And aside that, when you're posted to that organization during 1 year, during the 1 year, another thing is that out of so you go to work from Mondays to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Then Thursday you don't go to work. But I think it depends too. For some places, maybe it could be Wednesday that you're free or something like that. But usually most places Thursdays. Then Thursdays you go for CDS. CDS is Community Development Service. Community Development Service, and this is one of the pillars of NYC. So community development service could mean like, okay, yeah, that's like a group. So you have different
Aha.
development service
Better.
groups during your NYC. And the purpose of that is to like serve the community you are in, so to say. So you have some community development services under education, some under gender issues, some under sustainable development goals, some under environment, some under health, some under FRSC, different community development service groups. But then I've actually observed that because some people go into NYC without a sense of purpose, or maybe because of the fact that they see it as a waste of time. When they go for the meetings every Thursdays, they just go there. Okay, let's just spend like 2 hours here and just let's get off. That is, that's the mindset of a lot of people. However, for me, I actually went with the mindset that okay, yes, you would actually like thrive. So I was going to every meetings like with purposefully. So when I was telling my story in my SOP about my volunteering experience,
Mm.
I had a lot to say. And it was not about cooking stories. I had proofs, I had links to support everything I was doing. Of course, I didn't like add a lot of links to that anyways, but of course my CV, everything showed that okay, yes, I've done this and everything. So that's also another place. Some people, even the fact that you were in that CDS group alone, please add it, especially if it aligns with what you want to do. Please add that to it. Even if it doesn't align, you can just find a way of just saying it briefly, at least that you have a volunteering experience and it's not just academia alone for you. So please, that's another thing I'd like to add. So leading role, extracurricular activities you've done, please, this is your place to shine and just talk about your experience. So please, your NYC, please do not downplay the place of your NYC. Please do not. Then afterwards, for me, another place for me to shine. So I knew that for me, this is my own experience. I knew that I was coming for a teaching role. So in my department, we have so in grad school we have what we call the teaching assistantship. We have research assistantship. We have graduate assistantship. Teaching assistantship means that you're coming mainly to teach. That's what you're going to do. Research assistantship means you come mainly to do research. Then graduate assistantship means that you work with an organization. It could be like a staff role, so to say, when you are in your university. So for me, I knew that I would be coming for a teaching position. So I needed to mention to them that I also had like a very strong teaching skills, or yeah, a strong teaching like acumen, so to say. So for me, in order to prove that too, NYC was also another place for me to shine. So during my national youth service year, I finished with the first class. So I was actually deployed to a university, University of Learn. That was where I served. So I noticed that quite a number of people today downplay the role of their NYC or what they did. Even if it's a secondary school, you taught there, and maybe you know that you'll be teaching or something like that. This is another place for you to show that yes, okay, I taught somewhere. Okay, so for me it was also a place for me to show that yes, I know I'll be coming to teach undergraduates when I come to Purdue. I've also taught undergraduates. By virtue of teaching during my NYC in a university, I know how to navigate, technological, whatever. So this is another place to talk about some of the things you would like to do or you would come to do when you actually like get into the university. Or maybe you're actually coming for a research and you've worked in a research organization or something like that in Nigeria. This is another place to say, okay, yes, I've actually worked in a research organization that has to do with what I'm coming for, something like that. Or maybe even that research role is embedded under or is under the auspices of what you did during your NYC or even outside NYC. So for me, NYC was a way I could actually connect the dots like that, based on my own experience, and that was it for me. Then the next thing you'd want to talk about is about the school. Now, try to look at something about the school that interests you. That like, okay, the reason why I'm interested in coming to this school because of this. Please try as much as possible not to be generic in your responses. A lot of people may talk about some generic reasons why they would like to be part of the university. Try to look for something really significant. For example, maybe for my own program now, it could be something like, okay, maybe there are different universities, and I know that okay, this university will offer me the opportunity of going to France for like a month or 3 months for something. I know that would be very important for you. So something very minute that you can actually like bring to the fore to say yes, this is one reason I would say that I would like to come to this school for my own program. So look for something really very specific, and they know that okay, through that they know that you've actually done your own homework about the university. The reason why, so sometimes it could be about the university and also the department itself. The reason why you're part of the university and also the departments, what you see. And again, for me too, I knew that coming to Purdue would actually allow me to do something under women gender stuff. So that was how I was able to link that for me. Like, okay, I knew that was something strong for me. So please and please go through the school website, check them out, check like do your homework. Then you can see how you can connect. Okay, yes, this is the reason why I'm coming to your school. And I'm not choosing other school. Of course, you're not talking about choosing other schools, but this is like, the selling point for your school. So it's also a way for them to know that okay, what is actually attracting people to our school, our program, or our department, so to say. Then the next thing I would like to talk about is, so for my own course, cold emailing is not a thing. Yes, I know it's a thing for most science-based courses, but in the humanities, social sciences, sometimes it depends really. We don't necessarily have to do code emailing. I remember then I was told about the whole idea of code emailing, and I started code emailing a lot of professors. And the response I got was that you know what, you didn't have to do this. You just have to like just talk to like what's it called, university, and just apply, and that was it for them. Yeah, so that was what I did. I didn't have to code email. So another thing is that afterwards you can then talk about the fact that okay, you'd like to work with a particular professor, and this is the reason why you'd like to work with that professor. Like maybe you feel like okay, you've checked the person's research profile, and what they are doing actually aligns with the kind of research you want to do. So this is another place to mention names of professors you'd like to work with. And yes, that was it for me because for my program, code email was not a thing that you can then align things like that. Another thing I would like to say is that so I actually recently read someone's SOP in my department, and I feel like this is one of the best SOPs I've read in my life. And why I would say that is that in her SOP, she did something. She knew that she was going to work with someone. So another thing I would like to say, this is very, very important. I would say this. Sometimes it's not like people that some universities will actually like take in. they may not necessarily be the best. Because I've seen situations whereby you see quite a number of first class graduates that they didn't make it to my department. I see some people making it like they didn't have so that happens sometimes. But sometimes what happens is that universities too, they also watch out for people who are coming, that they know that they have like faculties that will be able to supervise the kind of research that they do. So another thing is that don't just say, okay, yes, I want to come to this. If you feel like there are no faculties that actually align with the kind of research you do, then it may be a waste of time, because they will feel like, okay, yes, this kind of person, the kind of research he or she wants to do, okay, it doesn't align with anybody. So they'll just tell you, no, we are sorry. Do you know we are sorry is not because you're not good. It's just because they feel like they can't actually like supervise you. So this person I'm talking about actually went as far as actually like checking the what's it called now, the books that one of the professors had written, and quoted some aspects from the old book and tried to like make a statement from that. And also when the person was writing the SOP, there was a way the person was actually very deep about the kind of research he or she wants to do. The person so this is literature. The person just started with the fact that, okay, her experience with reading literature right from when she was young and everything, connecting the dots like that, and how the kind of research she wants to do. So everything was aligning. Like she knew that. So for her, the research statement was really strong from the beginning. She was very strong about how she was just connecting everything about, okay, this research, this that. So even the professor, seeing the whole thing, that yes, this person is actually very good. This person, we want this person, because the person was very articulated the kind of research she wants to do, did well. She did it so well. So that's something I would like to say. Then the next thing I would say is that try to also the next thing, then I think this will be the last thing for me to say, would be like, now talk about how you think the school, should I say, the courses you will do in the school align with your short-term goals, your long-term goals, and things like that. For example, if you can check the school, the courses you're going to do and everything, and say, okay, yes, you believe that these courses will actually allow you to achieve your aim, your research aim, your career goals, your career objectives, and things like that. And you know that at the end of the day, okay, maybe you're studying some courses, like you know that you just take some courses that will actually enable you to do research in this area and things like that. And that's actually a strong point for you for the school or something like that. And from there, you can then talk about the fact that yes, at the end of the day, I believe that this is the kind of, okay, maybe I'll be, this is the kind of, these are my goals for my, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, like that. And that will actually enable you to be able to do that the kind of thing you want to do. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's just it. So also be strong about that. Don't just be generic. Don't be broad about the kind of objectives, short-term goals or long-term goals. Be specific and be strong. Like there's a way you use language in a strong way, and they know that yes, this person really means business. So I think with that, this is the end of my conversation on talking about SOP. If there are other things I feel like I didn't mention here, I may just mention that later. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm muted. All right. This is so value packed. This is so value packed. The next person will be Nelson. But before I bring up Nelson, I want to quickly say something. Someone asked the question. We have about 12 viewers, and one of them asked, when a housewife gets a scholarship abroad, how easy is it for her to relocate with her family? We will be discussing. I would be handling that, because I actually traveled to the United States with my wife and my son, and I think Jafar came with his wife, if that is correct. So there are some of us who actually had that experience. I traveled with my wife and my son. So it is, in talking about that, I will be covering that when I talk when we start discussing about your interviews. We'll talk about that when we start talking about your interviews. So please, if you are just joining us, don't hesitate to click on the like button, send some reactions, so that the algorithm will continue to push us and more people can continue to join. Just a little bit from what Roseline said, I want to read a portion of my code email to you, and you'll be able to connect what Roseline said with a portion of my code email. This is my code email that was sent on September 30th, 2020. September 30th, 2020, sent to my professor. The first email I sent to her: Dear Dr. Kiila, I am Babalola Emmanuel, and I am very interested in the PhD research program in learning design and technology. I earned a Bachelor of Science with education in physics, a Master of Science in geophysics, and I have taught physics using the British and Nigerian curriculum for more than 7 years. That first paragraph gives you everything about me. If you don't know anything you want to know about me, you can make your journey from the first paragraph. Now look at my second paragraph. See where I wanted to connect to Roseline. I have reviewed your staff profile. This is to tell her that I have done my background research on her. I have reviewed your staff profile and your passion for technology integration in the teaching, learning, and communication processes amazes me. Your recommendation for transition to teaching programs in particular caught my attention as it relates to my own research interest in examining the transition of pre-service physics teachers to professional teaching through their use of multimedia-based e-learning platform. Through this platform, mentorship and resources on the integration of technology in the classroom will be provided to pre-service teachers. Little did I know that currently in the department, this was a big project. In fact, little did I know that this was a funded project of over $500,000 going on in the department, and my advisor actually played a key role. And the next thing I heard was I got the next email from her. I got the next email from her the second day. That was October 1st. I got the second email from her the second day. That was October 1st. So it boils back to like Roseline said, it's not just about just going down to say I want to write something. No, it's not just saying I want to write something. It, you the truth is, everybody here, we have one funding or the other. And if you are going to come to the United States and you are going to survive, I must tell you sincerely, you must get funding. You must get funding. You can't pay. You cannot pay. Even if you cannot, well, I'm sorry. Maybe I underestimated you, but I cannot pay. And I don't know if other people here can pay, but I cannot pay. So this is one of the reasons why you want to listen to this, so that when you are writing your SOP, when you are writing your cold emails, you notice what these amazing people are saying and you're able to tie it in effectively. Thank you so much, Roseline. You have shared so much. Somebody sent me an email. Somebody sent me a message when I shared this live to her, and the person was like, "Hey, Emmanuel, all I need now is money to eat." And I replied. I said, "When I got my admission, I had no job. My wife was selling chin chin when I got my admission." And I don't know if this is going to encourage somebody, but it is the truth. When I got my admission, I had no job. My wife was selling shishi when I got my admission. But one of the interesting things was that it was a fully funded program. Let me allow Johnson to take us on another ride. Johnson, please go on, take us on another ride. Tell us more about the application requirements. Okay, thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me very well?
Absolutely, perfect.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. If you are just joining, my name is Oluwatoyi Johnson Nelson. I'm also a 40-year PhD student at Purdue University. So basically, application requirements differ from school to school, and it also differ from department to department. So, for example, I'm in a mechanical engineering department. If you want to apply to any school, after you've been able to identify the school, you've gone through the faculty members to check for professors that are working on research that align to your own area of interest. So the next thing you want to do is actually to apply, right? Or you want to reach out to professor. I will deviate a little bit from what Roseline said about cold emailing, right? Yeah, basically there are a lot of schools. If you're in engineering or science or some other faculty, sometimes it's very good for you to reach out to professors, because that will guarantee you funding to some extent. Like in my department in Purdue, you can't basically get admission until you have a faculty member who is ready to fund your project, except you reach out to the graduate coordinator, and maybe there are maybe they need more TA in the department and they want to hire few students that will occupy TA-ship jobs in the department. But basically, you must, get a professor or reach out to a professor who is ready to fund your program before you could be admitted into mechanical engineering department. So that's all about that. So, like I was saying, if you after you've identified the schools, you've reached out to professors. The next thing that is very important is for you to, actually know the requirements of the school before you can apply. And one of these things is it's easy to get the requirements. For example, if you go to Purdue website, you go to the Faculty of Agriculture, maybe you want to study agronomy. If you go under that department, you will see their admission requirement. Now, for example, before COVID, most schools in the US requires GRE. Some require IELTS, or you call it IELTS. Some require TOEFL and Duolingo and some other stuff like that. So the first thing you need to do is actually you have to go to those admission requirements. Don't check only the school requirement. Check for your own department. Then if you could get that, then you list all the requirements. If they require GRE, some will put optional, meaning that with or without GRE, you could still be admitted. Now, if it is important or if it is required that you must have GRE, the scores might not be there. Some schools will put some scores, some average of what you should get in your GRE. Now, this will give you, foresight of what you need to prepare for. Now, if another thing I can tell you is that if any school is requiring GRE, there is a way you can also reach out to the department, either GRE or IELTS or whatever. You can also reach out to the department, maybe due to your financial capability that you are unable or you are not financially buoyant to take that exam. They can waive it for you. Not all school and not all departments. But there's some department that you can send a mail to the graduate coordinator seeking if they can waive either GRE or IELTS or Duolingo, whatever requirement on their portal. If you are fortunate and that department can waive it for you, good. If they are not ready to waive it for anyone, then it is important for you to take those exams. I mean, either GRE or those exams. Another requirement would be like you need an academic transcript. Now, this varies from school to school as well. Some schools, you basically need to upload the unofficial transcript during your application process. Immediately you get admission or you are admitted, either with full or non funding now. I'm not talking about the funding aspect right now. You will also be required to send or to submit the official transcript from your school. In that case, some school might permit you to get the official one from your school and you submit it to the department when you resume. Some school will ask your undergraduate school to send it directly to them through any courier services. Like in OAU, I finished from OAU. I use this common DHL. So I paid and they DHL it to the state. So your transcript is very important. Then your SOP, like Roseline has said earlier, I mean, she said a lot about SOP, which is very, very important. And trust me, every school you are applying to, one of the major requirements is your statement of purpose. Now, this varies from school to school. If you check some school admission requirements, it will be stipulated what you are expected to have in your statement of purpose. Some will call it letter of intent, some will call it personal statement, and some school will also require you to write a research statement. So you need to check these things are, I mean, SOP, personal statement, and letter of intent. They are a little bit close, but you have to read more about them online. Then some will ask you to write a motivation letter. You might not have everything on the same requirement, but it varies from school to school, as I said, even from department to department. Now, this actually will define your admission to that school. Your SOP and your CV, generally, it's about 70% of your admission processes. If you have a good academic CV, don't submit your work hunting CV when you are actually applying for schools. There are different kind of CV. You can check it, academic CV format online. We share several samples on LinkedIn everywhere. Now, you must prepare a well, you know, fascinating academic CV that even you, when you prepare, even when if someone send that kind of CV to you and you are going through, you will be happy to work with a person. You will be happy to go through what this person have on his or her CV. You get, so you need to prepare a well, written, well formatted academic CV. Then your SOP, yeah, Roseline talk about AI. Like for me, I have some platform that I review a lot of SOP every day, every week. If I read your SOP without checking with AI, I will know you use AI and I will ask you directly because we are familiar to some of those words, by either chat GPT or whatever AI you are using. Perplexity, trust me, if I read like first paragraph, I will definitely know you use AI too without putting it on the detector. Now, it is not bad to use AI, like you said earlier. And nowadays, I was in a class of one of a professor few weeks ago, and it was like he wrote something by himself and he put it on AI to check, and AI showed about 90%
Was
AI
written by
written. So
Ziti.
he
Yeah.
actually wrote it himself,
Yes.
and AI was still detecting that it was AI generated. So sometimes it is very, very, weird that you prepare a statement of purpose yourself or you write something and AI is telling you that this is AI generated. So sometimes it can be confusing, but regardless, try as much as possible to prepare or to write your own story yourself. Yeah, you can check your grammar, right? You can check your, yeah, whatever you want to check, you can check, but don't just put everything on the AI to restructure or to generate. Because if you test AI to write SOP about so, it will give you a lot of good, points, but don't do that. So your AI, and many schools nowadays, if they want to review your application and they, you know, check that your SOP is AI is written by AI, definitely they might not go on to review your application process. Automatically, some schools will not go ahead. They do not want to hire a student, that is writing everything with AI. So you need to be careful with that. And before you submit any statement of purpose or SOP, please make sure you look for 2 or 3 people who are already in the. I mean, I believe everyone here should be on LinkedIn. You can see a lot of scholars, Nigerians, Americans, everywhere, even Indians. You can reach out to them if they're in your field. You can share your SOP with them to help you review, to go through it, to make corrections. So that's also very important. Don't, I mean, some of us are brilliant. You are good in writing, but trust me, sometimes what you think is good, when you submit, they might not say anything reasonable, about whatever you think is good to you. I'm not saying you can't, you can, but try and look for people to help you review to give you more idea about your SOP. So your CV, your SOP, take those exams serious if they are required. And I always advise people these days that if you have the money, I always advise people to take GRE, especially if you're in engineering.
Yeah.
I always advise people to take GRE because why? This is my point. If when you are applying for a department, maybe a GRE position or whatever position, GA or RA, trust me, thousands of people are also applying for that same department or that same position. Now, not only that, if you are a first class student and you believe you have upper edge, trust me, more than 100 first class students from different countries are also applying to that same department, that same position. Now, you are from one of the best universities, maybe you are a Nigerian, trust me, there are over 100 of people from different best universities all over the world that are also applying for that same position, right? Now, sometimes what might, give you a little head is if you write GRE and you have very high score in your GRE. For example, any professor that you send a code email to, for example, and you mention that you've written GRE and you have about 330, in your GRE, trust me, some of them will reason with you. Now, I'm not going to condemn Nigeria. There are a lot of cases nowadays that people help people to write GRE and some GRE results are fake. And there are a lot of tools to check that now. But if you can prepare and write your GRE yourself and you can score very high, if they want to recruit 5 students and 15 of them have GRE, trust me, they will first consider those people, check their requirement, check their grade, check their SOP. So that will give you, a good opportunity or a hedge ahead of other people applying to that department. So I will advise you take that if you have the money, and especially if it is required in your department before you even ask for a waiver or whatever. So I think when you have that, then you can start your application. After you review, make sure you upload every document required on your application portal. Don't say this is not important. If they even ask for your O level, which I have never seen that before, make sure you upload every document as required on the portal. Don't miss anything. And yeah, I think for now that is enough because of our time, and there's still a lot of speakers going. So I will stop for now.
All right, that was a big, 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 big
Can't hear
one.
you though.
Okay, I'm muted. All right, that was a big, 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 big one from Johnson. Johnson just listed it, like he just walked us through the entire application process. And if you are not taking note at this time, I must say to you that it is not the enemy from your father's house that is your problem. It is your it is your lack of readiness to value information and take notes when it is essential. That is the problem you are having. So please pick up your pen and start writing notes. He has said a lot of things. Upload upload all the necessary information. Check out if some of these things are waived, and if they are not waived, please take them. Go to your department, do your homework. One of the reasons why we don't really want to take up people or mentor people is because people want you to do all of it. Somebody wants you to write the SOP for them. Someone wants you to write the SOP. Somebody wants you to write the code email. Come on, excuse me, we are not that free. I don't know. Okay, sorry, maybe I'm assuming for everybody, but I'm not that free. My life is so complicated and busy as a grad student. So that is very, very important. Now we'll be looking straight to looking at, now you understand the application process. You have written your statement of purpose. You have written you have written everything, your code emails, you have sent it out. What is the next thing? What should you look for in choosing an academic mentor? An academic mentor asks, why is it important for you to really focus on choosing the right academic mentor? And for that, I will allow Jafar to take us on that ride. And Jafar, please take it off from there. You are muted. You are muted. Okay. Hello. Okay, I think. Okay, you can talk now.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, sure. Okay. Thank you so much. So, a lot of things that I'm going to talk about have been said by my friends, and I want to thank them for a very informative talk. So, I'm going to, of course, this question is not an easy question to answer, but I try my best. Whatever I'm sharing is my own experience, so it's always wise to reach out to different people and ask for their experiences as well. When I decided to start my PhD, so I started my search and I looked for three important things. Number one was the rank of the university. You could usually check the rank of the university or rank of the field that you're going to study on QS website. The next one was the location of the university, which city and which state, which is important to me at least. And the next important thing is the professor. Who is the advisor? And what they are working on. So, to be able to manage this task easier, I had one Excel or Google spreadsheet So on my list, I had some columns. The first column was the university. The second column was the university ranking or my field ranking. Another one was the professor's email address. Then the date that I sent email to the professor, and the next column was the professor's response to me.
Hmm.
I sent email to more than 100 professors. So why? To find out what is happening there, because I had no idea about US and Canada. So I was aiming for these two countries. So I sent more than hundreds of emails to different professors. So in my emails, my friends mentioned about that, but technically in my emails, at first I introduced myself, as Emmanuel mentioned. Then I explained the professor's work and how my interest aligns with theirs. I reviewed their profile and the research papers. Maybe you say that it is time taking for 100 professors. Yes, it is time taking, but it's worth it. You have to do that. And then next part, I shared my future plans in the next paragraph. And the fourth part, which is the really important one, I requested for an online meeting. I believe this is the most important part, and I want to say why. It is important because in your online meeting, you want to see if you and your professors are on the same page, to find out if they are supportive. Remember that the professor is the person that you're going to spend most of your time with in the next 4, 5, or 6 years. So it is really, really important to see if your professor is supportive. Out of the hundreds emails that I sent, I received about 50 responses, and but from those responses, most of them were that I'm not currently accepting more students, I'm not available for new mentees, I do not have resources to take on additional students at this time, and things like that. But almost 20 professors agreed to meet me. And in these meetings, I aimed to different things. Number one was to prove that I'm a good fit. So at first you need to prove yourself. But number two was to observe their reaction to my questions and to see, to gauge the level of support they would offer. Why? Because it's crucial, it's really important for your successful journey in your school. To see if the person that I'm talking is really supportive or not, I try to ask some questions regarding the assistantship, regarding the housing, which is really an issue in the US right now, especially in small cities. And even I asked some questions if they can provide contacts of people to support me more. So these are the very important questions that you can ask your professors. Out of those 20 different meetings that I had, I found just 2 professors supportive. So I just applied for 2 universities. I'm not recommending you to just apply for 2 universities. It's much better to apply for more universities. But I just applied for 2 universities. The first university I got accepted from local universities. The first university that I was accepted is the first one in the world ranking in my major. But I chose Purdue, and here is the reason that I chose Purdue. While I got my acceptance letter, I received multiple emails from my professor from Purdue. She was constantly asking me, how are you doing? What are you going to do with your visa? What is happening to you? And even when I was asking for support and for funding, I'm not going to forget that never. She spent 4 days to revise my SOP and CV. So for 4 days, constantly we were sending email to each other to see how can we revise our CV, my CV and my SOP to nominate me for the fellowship. So, but the other professor that was that I just talked about, the university that has the first ranking in the world, Usually they did not answer my emails. And so here I had to make my decision. Am I going to go to a university which has the first ranking in the world, or I'm going to go to a university that has a supportive professor? I made my final decision because I had no idea about the US. And now, after 3 years, I would say that I'm so happy with my choice. Supportive professor is really, really important. So when you're going to choose university, yes, the university ranking is really important, but the person who you're going to work with is more important than that. Currently, I know maybe you have heard about some of the people who do not have a good relationship with their professor, and they are spending very, very rough times here. But for me, the story is completely different. My professor is available. I have weekly meeting with her twice, 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week. She's always online to answer my questions, and she's not just answering my academic questions. Sometimes we, fix a time to go out to have a coffee and talk over the coffee. She's also asking about my different, life aspects. These are very, very valuable to me. So these are different supports that I receive from my professor. So my professor, I like to tell her name, Dr. Marisa Exter. She's really, really respected person, and she's very well known in my field, and she's really supportive to the students. So I do recommend that ask for a meeting before applying, and then see if that professor is supportive. So if your professor is supportive, if that person is a person who can you rely on, I think you're going to have a very enjoyable journey for your graduate school. So this is something that I like to share with you.
Oh my God.
Emmanuel, I
Oh,
think you're muted.
oh my God. That was a whole lot from Jafar. That was a whole lot from Jafar. You can you have you pick. I have another question here. How do we go about funding? So we have two questions. Please, just we are taking note of your questions. I'm going to throw your questions to the panelists. I'm not going to. I don't know if we just after we hear from Tybresha, we just go into questions straight. I'm not going to anchor any section. We are just going to go into questions and answer for the words of time. Jafar said you have to choose between university ranking, and a good and a good professor. If you ask me, I will tell you to choose a good professor, because the truth is your academic mentor can either make or mar you. That is the language in academia, especially for a grad student. Your academic mentor can either your academic mentor can either make you or destroy you entirely. So you want to be very intentional at this point in choosing your academic mentor. Don't be too desperate. Look out for the warning signs. Somebody is saying, "Oh, I don't have your time." Somebody is responding, "Ashley, it's this person." You are coming to a nation or a country that you don't know. You have to listen to what Jafar just said to you. It's in your own interest. All right, I'm going to move on to Tybresha. Tybresha is a home student. So we would be listening to a whole lot of things from Tybresha. There are two things I want her to quickly cover. But the first thing I want her to cover is I want you to hear how an American would think. For those of you who will be applying to US or Canada, you need to hear. I want you to have a glimpse into the thinking of an American professor, so that you know how to position yourself for your interviews with an American professor. You know how to position yourself for whatsoever it is you write for your writing with an American professor. This is very, very important. Okay, I think she just turned off. I don't know. I think probably she turned off her camera. So we'll be hearing that from Tybresha. Is she ready? I think she turned off her camera. Let me see if she's ready. I don't know. All right. So that is basically what we'll be hearing next. As soon as she's up, we will let you know. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know what happened to our camera. It seems our camera is muted. Tybresha, are you still there? All right. While waiting for her, while waiting for her, I've applied twice to Purdue University for a PhD in agronomy without getting any admission decision. And until now, the application is under review. What could be the problem? These are the questions we are interested in looking at. All right, let me start picking up some of these questions while we wait for Tybresha. I'm here to see her. The first question is can you apply as a married person? If you are married, how easy will it be for you to get here if you are married? The answer to that question is basically very simple. But before you proceed with that, you would have gotten your admission first. The process of bringing in your wife, bringing in your spouse, has to do with when you start filling in the details needed, the details needed for your I-20. This is the point where you have to say that you are married. Then you start dealing with the different departments, international students and scholars. For us at Purdue, it's called ISS. You start dealing with these different departments, and then you will tell them, I am married. You may be asked to show your marriage certificate. You upload your marriage certificate, and then we will get that started. All right, I think Tybresha is here, so I'm just going to allow her. So I'm going to talk more about that as we go on, but this is what is going to happen. So please go ahead, Tybresha, take it up. Please, I beg you. Let me see. You are muted. You are muted. Let me. Okay, okay, okay. Good. Please let me hear you. I should hear you now. Hello. I'm not hearing you yet. You see. Hello. I can see you. I can see you, but I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened to mic and everything, but yeah, my camera glitched out for just a minute, and I apologize about that. So there were just a few things that I wanted to cover, but if you'll give me just a moment, I do want to pull up some of the things that I want to cover here. Give me just a second.
All right. So we are waiting for her. And please get your writing. See, don't slide to my DM and ask me questions that has been covered here. Pick up your writing material and write. When questions are being covered, they are covered. So don't slide to my DM and ask me questions that were covered in this webinar. You are getting all this for free. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I did have a couple of topics that I did want to talk about, especially from the perspective of an American. I think I want to thank all of the rest of my colleagues for giving such great advice, because all of that advice is very, very relevant, especially when we get into applying for graduate school and thinking about what comes next. But I really wanted, my first point I wanted to highlight, because Jafar made such a great point about doing your homework. You need to research your potential academic advisor. You need to come prepared to discuss your research interest, or if your other interests, maybe they're not in research. I know in education, we have some things that are a lot more practical, but you need to be doing your research on how your advisor's work also compares to what you want to do long term. Um, you can also leave room to discuss some things that maybe they're not explicitly interested in. I think that's for the best anyway. Um, but do come prepared, read a publication or two that they might have written. Or, I mean, if they have other things out there, other work that they already have, whether it be published or on a website or something like that, all of that is fine. Just come prepared. And it'll show your potential advisor that you've done the work, you've done the research, you know what you're trying to get yourself into. Um, and along that same line, I also want you to think about looking up the people that they've worked with, whether they be faculty in the same department or program, or if they're faculty at another college. Your advisor, most academics, most faculty members don't do work by themselves. They work with other people. And as a graduate student, I think it's important that you know that you will be working with other people who may not be your advisor when you first enter your program. So just kind of knowing who they are. You don't have to do the whole reading a publication for them, but just kind of know who your advisor is working with most of the time and get acquainted with some of their work as well. Um, the one thing I do want to stress about interviewing with your advisor or meeting your advisor for the first time is to please be yourself. Um, and I think Jafar might have mentioned this. You will be spending 2 to 5 years of your life, maybe longer, maybe shorter, um, with your academic advisor. You don't want to meet them for the first time. Pretend that you're someone who you're not, and then once you get there and you're in classes and you're doing your research, you find out that you and your advisor are not a good match. So I think it's important that you don't misrepresent yourself. Don't fake it till you make it. Because that can cause problems down the line. Also, if you're pretending to be something or someone that you think they want, you might be the person that they're looking for, just how you are. But if you're pretending, right, then they don't get that visual. They don't get to see who you really are, and then you might miss that opportunity because you're pretending to be someone that they're not even looking for at all, right? So just be yourself. Don't pretend to know things that you don't know. If there are questions that come up in your interview, or questions that they just ask in general, the best response that I've found is, that's a great question. I don't know. And that's fine. That's a perfectly valid answer. And it's much better to say that instead of pretending to know something that you don't and then being embarrassed further down the line, if that makes sense. Um, when you're coming up into an interview or just talking with your advisor, you should also know that you will need to be prepared to come and discuss things about yourself.
Ife,
And I know sometimes you can be a
training
little
lọ lọ́wọ́
shy or
now.
awkward about talking about yourself. But in a way, you need to kind of sell yourself to your advisor, right? You want them to like you. You want them to seriously consider you for their program. So talk about your accomplishments. Talk about your mistakes and how you overcame them. Just be prepared to advertise a product that you want them to buy into, right? Honestly, of course. And if there are also my one of my advice would be, if there are other factors in your life that might affect the way that you do your graduate school. So I know some people mentioned that you might have a spouse, you might be married, you might have children, or other dependents or other things in your life that would affect how you do graduate school. Be prepared to be upfront about those in a tactful way, of course. But be prepared to discuss those and how they might affect your research, or how they might relate to your research. One of my colleagues actually, she's in gifted, creative, and talented studies, where we also study multi-exceptional students. Her son is a multi-exceptional student, and that's why she wanted to come to do the work, which made her work more relevant both for herself, and it made her a good addition for our program, because she's living out the research that she wants to study, right? So be prepared to discuss those things and how they relate to you and what you would need from your advisor and your program to be successful while also taking care of those responsibilities. And just be sure to set clear expectations about those things. And I know sometimes when we get into interviews or talking, we're kind of expecting our advisor to ask us questions. You should be prepared to ask questions to your advisor. And I think this was mentioned before also. You are not the only product on the table to be sold, right? Just as much as you want to be a good fit for them, they need to be a good fit for you. So ask questions about their advising style. Are they more hands-on? Are they telling you what to do? Are they micromanaging you? Or are they more hands-off? Some people like either or approach, but you don't want to be thinking your advisor is going to be there to help you every step of the way, and then you hear from them maybe once a month over email, and it's sent from their iPhone, right? So make sure that their advising style is going to be suitable for what your needs are as you're going through the program. And sometimes your advising style might change. I think I came in um, not really wanting my advisor to tell me what to do all the time, but as I progressed through my PhD, especially thinking about my prelims, coming up on my dissertation proposal, I really need a more hands-on approach from my advisor. So those things change, and I think they're negotiable. Um, I think if all else fails, ask questions about their research. It's been my experience, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, that academics kind of like to talk about themselves a lot and what they've done. So if you have read a paper or some of their publications or some of their work, and you have questions, ask those, because I'm sure that also tells them that you've done your research. You're serious about this. Also ask questions, and I think this is key actually. Ask questions about their past students. So their students that have graduated. What
Mm.
have they gone on to do as their careers now? What kind of career options are available to them? How quickly or how slowly did they progress through their program? And then what kind of research did they do, or what kind of roles did they hold while they were students? This will give you kind of an idea, or this will give your advisor an idea that, again, you're thinking forward, you're thinking ahead, that you're serious about your PhD program and how it's going to benefit you in the future. Um, Along that same line, I would suggest asking questions about their students that they have now. Um, and this may be more appropriate to ask at the end of the interview, but just asking if you could speak to a few of their students, maybe after their interview, or if they can schedule that for you, to get an idea of what the environment is like now. And that actually leads into my next point about asking questions about the work environment, about the culture of the work environment.
The work culture.
This is super important, and a
Mm.
question I wished I'd asked much early on. I've been able to adapt to our work environment now, and it's great, and I love it. But this would have helped me prepare to situate myself in the program that I'm in now. You will be, again, like I mentioned, you'll be spending the next 2 to 5 years of your life in this program, in this work environment, where you want to thrive, right? If your work style is that you like to work at your own pace, um, a fast-paced environment where they're pumping out publications like that may not be right for you, and you need to be upfront about that. Again, tactfully, of course. Um, just a few other things, and I think this one it's a hard conversation, or not a hard conversation, but it is a maybe a little awkward conversation to have sometimes, but it's a necessary one, and that's to ask about funding. Um, Finances are real. Having money for needing money for graduate school is real. And you'll need to ask about you'll need to ask about funding and if that's available for you. Whether those opportunities are research assistantships, teaching assistantships, or any other types of assistantships. Because most people tend to think that research and teaching are the only ones available, and they're not. In my program, because we do work with students in gifted education, we also have opportunities and assistantships to be youth program coordinators for programs that we run year round. So that's another source of funding. Also, not all assistantships have to be in your program or in your department or even in your college. A very good friend of mine and a colleague is currently in the College of Education, but her assistantship is with the Career Center for Opportunities, right? So you don't be shy about asking your potential advisor what opportunities might be available for the assistantships that you need. Um, and also, and I think this is something that a lot of graduate students don't come in knowing, ask questions about how long those opportunities are available. When you get an assistantship, it's typically offered on a one-term basis. For most research assistantships, it's about from, I want to say, August to July, so about 12 months, called a fiscal year. And these are typically for research assistantships. For teaching assistantships, they last about an academic year, which is about 9 months. Um, and that just lasts the entire school year. So during the summer months, you may not have funding, and that's information that you'll need to know before you get here, right? Um, so you need to be asking questions about long-term funding. Most PhDs are 4 to 5 years. It doesn't help to only have the first 2 years fully funded, and then you have to find something else, right? And sometimes these things change. I've been very blessed to have my assistantship for the past 2 or so years. Um, but again, sometimes those opportunities are not always available. Okay, and then finally, and I think this is an important part too, be conscious that after you click off of the Zoom or after you leave the interview or the meeting with the advisor, you are still being interviewed in a way. Um, and a good rule of thumb, I think, is to send maybe a follow up email either a few hours later or maybe even up to a day later, just kind of saying thank you for your time. It was really nice to meet you. I really appreciated XYZ, things like that, right? Um, and I also want you to be conscious that if you receive an offer letter, that's great news. That's fantastic news, right? But you are not going to accept that immediately. Be excited, not eager. Okay. You need to do some more research, and that research is really going into the city and the area that your university is in. You may love your advisor, and that's great news. You may love the school, and that's great news. If you are in a city
Hmm.
where the cost of living is much higher than what is being paid in your assistantship, where it's not easy to get housing. And again, this relates back to what if you have a spouse? What if you have a family, right? I happen to live in a 4 bedroom with roommates. That may not work for your family situation and when you're coming over here. Um, so those are things that you need to be conscious of about where you're living in the surrounding area. Um, Also, and I will say this because I am an African American woman in the US, you need to kind of be thinking about the racial climate of where you're living at. Does it feel safe for you to be living there, right?
Tybresha.
Have you heard of this? These
You
are questions that you need
guys.
to be researching both on your own and I think tactfully asking your advisor. Maybe not so much for racial climate, or I mean, you could ask about diversity, but just thinking about these questions in advance, so you're not placing yourself in a program that's great with an advisor that's great in a university that's great, but not in a city where that is livable, if you know what I mean. Um, so yeah, just making sure that you're using tact, making sure that you're asking questions and voicing your concerns, and establishing those boundaries and your expectations. I think those are all really great pieces that will go into your first interview, whether that be formal or informal, right? With your potential advisor. So thank you so much.
Okay. I don't know how to thank these amazing speakers. There are things I know that in one way or the other, Tybresha will talk about the racial climate. I actually, in a way, I took a couple of courses with Tybresha, and I know how active she is. So I know how active she is and how active she was when it comes to speaking for Black people. So I expected that somehow that must show up, and I was glad that that actually came up. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for this. Um, she has made very so it will be so weird for you to go into an interview and then you are being asked, "Do you have any question for us?" and you tell them you don't have any question. Come on, don't do that. That's so impossible. Excuse me, you don't have questions of out. Look at the things she has talked about: the working condition, the working climate, about funding, about the students of this advisor, about their mentoring style. You don't have, you can't tell me you don't. It's just impossible that you don't have question. You can't just do that. You can't just come and tell us you don't have question. No, it's not making any sense. There's no connection. You should have at least 2 to 3 questions, and don't go to an interview without having your list of questions ready. Your questions should not be coming. I'm thinking about it. That is a sign of irresponsibility. You are coming into an interview with professors who took out their time to be with you, with professors who blocked out that time for you, and they're asking you questions and you are thinking about it. No, it simply shows that there's something we call self-regulation. There's something we call self-regulation. Once you start doing like that, no, this is not a self-regulated learner. Now, this is not an independent learner. This guy is not capable of critical thinking. You just get labels that you don't even know you are going to. You just get this. No, this guy is not capable of critical thinking. This no, 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 no. This. So before you go to the interview, like she said, please, she has given us about 7 things, 7 areas where you can ask questions from. At least prepare 2 to 3 questions from these 7 areas. All right. Thank you so much, Tybresha. Thank you, Roseline. Thank you, Jafar. And thank you, Johnson. Let's move into the question and answer segment. And if you have questions here, please start dropping your questions in the comment section. I will be reading out your questions to our panelists here. And we will be picking up these questions one after the other. The first question I have here is someone said that I have applied to Purdue. Someone said that I have applied to Purdue, to a particular department, to a department of agronomy, more than once or twice, and the person was like, I didn't get any reply. I think the information this individual got is that the admission is still in process. I'm trying to find out if I can pull up the question. I don't know if that person is still here, but I can't really pull up the question. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best to pull up that question. I can't bring you up, please. I'm trying my best to pull up that question. I have I'm trying my best to pull up that question. So, but I see another question about, is it possible to transfer to a university in the US from Nigeria? Like this person is an individual. I think I don't know if this is an undergrad. This is a question from Titan Blog. Can you so what I have here, is it possible to transfer to a university in the US from Nigeria, still retaining your course of study? Let's say I am studying medicine in Nigeria and then I want to transfer to the US to study medicine. Is it possible? So I have that question. Please, any of us can unmute and answer that. Please, please, any one of us can unmute and take that question. Thank you, Johnson. Johnson, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Johnson, you are muted. We should hear you now. Go ahead.
No, I'm not.
We are hearing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, I don't think that is possible. Like transferring directly from Nigeria University to US. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, if you can come for internship, like it's very common among FUTA students. They do come for like 6-month internship in the US. I've seen several people that have done that. But if you're in the US, you can transfer from one university to another. But I've never seen anyone who transfer from Nigeria University to US University. I'm not sure. You have to start afresh. You have to take some exam like SAT. You have to apply properly. If you are financially capable, then you can get admission. But transferring, I've never seen it. It's possible, but I don't know. I've never seen that before.
Thank you so much, Johnson. I think Roseline wants to add something. Roseline, do you want to? All right. I think I'm going to go with the same response. There are different programs that you can do. There are programs that you can start in Nigeria. These are advanced programs, and then you can get funding to come and conduct your research in the US. I have seen that, where probably you are doing your master's degree and then you get funding to come and conduct your research or work with another professor. You can do that, but to transfer from an undergraduate program in Nigeria to the US, I would tell you that is, from my end, is a no. I have not seen that happen, and I'm not going to tell you that it is possible. I've not seen that happen. For me, I've not seen that happen. But if you have probably, we also have different kind of travel abroad programs. We have the Erasmus. We have several travel abroad programs. We have the There are so many of them. There are so many of them. Travel, we call them travel abroad. If you are into any of these travel abroad programs, where you have a year funding to study outside of your country, or you have 2 years funding to study also outside of your country, that is possible. But to transfer directly from Nigeria to the US, I would say that on that account, you are sincerely on your own. Um, so somebody asked about funding opportunities. Someone asked about funding opportunities. That how do we go about getting funding opportunities? Getting funding opportunities as international students. I don't know if any one of us want to pick that up.
Yeah, I can share little idea. Yeah, like it depends as well. There are some department like Roseline said. If you're in the humanities, maybe English related courses, you might not necessarily need to look for professor, like she said. There might be some fellowship in the department that will take care of your program. Or maybe a professor got a fellowship and he or she need a student to work on it. That's possible. But if you're in engineering, basically professors will look for funding or grant in their field or on the research they are working on, and they want to hire students that will work on those research. So that professor basically will be the one to fund your program. And along the way, he might recommend you for a teaching assistant along the way, maybe 2 semesters out of your 5 or 4 or 5 years program. So getting funding, like I said, sometimes it depends on the professor. If the professor is interested, he will look for students. That is why you see a lot of professors on LinkedIn post that I need more students. I want to recruit 2 or 3 PhD, one postdoc in my lab. So professor look for students, and sometimes if they could not find students, they they can also talk to the graduate coordinator to help them look for students in the department or to look for students who are applied to the department. So he could check their profile, their applications, and if he or she is interested in one student, then he can actually, recruit that student directly to his lab. I don't know if that makes some sense to you guys.
All right. I don't know if you want to add anything, Tibresha.
Sure, I can add a couple of things.
Okay.
Um, Another piece of advice that I kind of stick to is, and people say this pretty often, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. But I want to take it a step further and say it's not necessarily about who you know, it's about who knows you. And so one of the opportunities that I received as a teaching assistant was actually because a professor knew my advisor and was like, "Well, I'm looking for a teaching assistant. Do you think, Tybresha would be a good fit?" Um, and so I think, and that's why I stress knowing the faculty that your advisor also works with, so that you can communicate with your advisor about, okay, do you have any assistantships, and if they don't, do you know anyone who's looking? um, I also think that choosing an assistantship, you want to be mindful of the length. So like I mentioned, that 1 year, that fiscal year versus the 9 months. um, Also be thinking about, I think communicating with your advisor early on about what your needs will be for your assistantship is a best practice, if that makes sense. You definitely want to be forthright about what opportunities are available. Ask some of the students, if you get a chance to talk to some of the students in your program that have been there already. Ask some of the students about what opportunities have you seen that are available or would be a good fit for me. So, like I mentioned, that career center of opportunities, right? That's not even connected to any of the departments or the colleges on campus. That's completely, I want to say that's a completely separate office, right? But that was available because that person asked. So just be forthright about asking what's out there. But also, and I agree with what Johnson said, most of the time your assistantship will be connected to your advisor. Ask them first, because you want to kill two birds with one stone, if that makes sense. So you don't want to be doing research with your advisor on top of this other assistantship that you also have to do at the same time. If you can get with your advisor, So my research assistantship is with my advisor. If you can work with them and that, spur on your research interest, that's best. But if they happen not to have anything for you, then definitely ask around. And yeah, I think that would be my advice.
Um, thank you so much. I think Roseline might want to say something along this line.
How I navigated during my own time when I was actually like searching for schools, because sometimes I was actually unsure of the package for me as an international student. So aside checking the university website or the departmental website, I would also like reach out to the graduate coordinator of the courses I was actually like or about the schools I was applying to back then. So I remember I reached out to some universities and or departments, so to say, some universities, and they were unsure of the funding package. Each time I heard okay, or maybe I saw that email, okay, maybe we're not sure of the funding. I just know that okay, you know what? Carry your leg. Don't apply to this school. So for me, any school that I saw that they were not sure of the funding package for me as an international student, I knew that was not a school to even waste my, should I say, application fees or something like that. So I never considered those schools. But for schools that told me that yes, sure, we have funding for international students, and even some schools would not even admit you if they're not sure of the funding they would give you. Like my department, once you're getting in, automatically you have a full funding. So some departments will not even employ you or will not admit you if they're not sure they're going to give you funding. So for schools that didn't give me green lights, I didn't bother applying to those schools. And for schools that gave me green lights, yes, apply to those schools. So I think sometimes so do your homework to know then to know, okay, yes, this school is a no-no for me. I had like something like Excel sheets, but mine was on my paper. So I listed all the universities, all the 100 universities, so to say. Then I started like, ticking up some schools. I taking some schools off my list, like, okay, you know what? No, no. Then that's how I was able to do a sort of long list and short list, then apply to some schools at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Roseline. I've been hearing consistently. I apply to 100 universities. I apply to 100 universities, and I can't stress that enough. If you think that this is for lazy people, yes. If you are lazy, you would get admission provided you have your money to pay. Okay. Let's clear that. If you are lazy and you are wealthy and you have your money, maybe your father is the president of Nigeria, or your father is the president of Iran, or your father is the president of whichever country, no problem. Maybe your father is the new president of the United States, it's okay. You can be lazy, but don't worry, as long as you have the dollars to pay. But if you don't have the money to pay, you can't afford to be lazy. You have to work. You have to work. Get an Excel spreadsheet, write out the names of the universities you are looking up into. Look out for universities that have your program, at least nothing short of 50 to 100. Write out their names. Go ahead, write out their requirements. Write out their requirements. Go ahead, then start streamlining. I sent email to this person. I've got this response. This is this. This is this. You need to be intentional about what you do. And speaking about finances, I tell you sincerely, what I'm going to say in addition to that is LinkedIn is your best friend. Scholarship Verse is your best friend. There are two things I just mentioned now: LinkedIn and Scholarship Verse. There's something called Scholarship Universe. I think we use that a lot at Purdue. Scholarship Verse is your best friend. LinkedIn is your best friend. There will be a lot of professors on LinkedIn, like Johnson said, that would just throw out that advert. They are looking for research students. They are looking for students in so field. They are looking for students. You want to make sure you are following them bumper to bumper. I'm using a Nigerian term. Bumper. You are following them left and right. Follow them. Yes, bumper to bumper is okay. You understand. If you don't understand, I can't help it. But follow them closely. That's very important. And like Tybresha said, the truth is, if you are able to secure funding with your advisor, your journey will be smoother. That is the sincere truth. If you are able to secure funding with your advisor, or at worst, you are able to secure funding within your department, your journey will be smoother. If your funding is not within your department, you will be doing, it's going to really, it's going to really frustrate you. That's just the truth. It's going to be frustrating because the workload on you will be too much. You'll be working in your department at the same time you are trying to adapt to another department. So it's very, very important that you bring up these questions during your interview. In fact, like I said, if you don't have any question to ask during your interview, the first question you must ask is about funding. You must put that on your question about funding. Thank you so much to my amazing panelists. I have a question here by Sergius. He said, I am still here, and here is the question again. I have applied twice to Purdue University for a PhD in agronomy without getting any admission decision. And until now, the application is still under review. What could be the problem? I have an answer for you, but I'm going to allow others to answer. I'm going to allow others to give you their response. But please listen. I have an answer for you. Please, who wants to take this up first?
I have a very sarcastic answer, I think, which may or may not be very helpful. But if you, when you are admitted, or if you are admitted to Purdue, you'll hear the phrase, "There's the easy way, and then there's the Purdue way."
Hmm.
And the truth is, a lot of our offices tend to be very short-staffed, and so it generally may be that they just have not gotten to it yet. Also, and I say this not as a political statement, but as a factual statement. Considering what had the election that's just occurred in the U.S., there are some things that departments are also considering now, especially when it comes to student funding, particularly funding that comes from the Department of Education, which may not be, directly connected to agronomy, but you might find yourself or you might find yourself needing to accept assistantships that are funded by the Department of Education. Um, but there are things that are going to be happening within the next few months, up to the next few years, and the offices might just be playing it safe. Um, and so, I mean, those are the things that I can think of off the top of my head. But my advice would be to reach out again, just pushing it back to the top of their email list. They probably receive hundreds of emails a day. And then just being mindful and keeping up with them. Maybe a week, every 2 weeks, if they still haven't gotten back to you, just send emails and, hey, I want to know the status of my application. That would be my advice.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Tybresha. Jafar, do you want to add something?
Excuse me? No, that's pretty much what Tybresha mentioned. If I were that person, I would reach out to the department again and then ask for the status of my application.
Thank you so much. Roseline? Okay, she just said no. Okay. Oh, so this is going to be my answer to you, and my answer is going to be very blunt. There are so many reasons that could be responsible for that. Number one, it's kids, and you can answer if you have any of these clues in the comments. I'm checking the chats. I'm checking the chat right away. But there are a lot of things that could be responsible for that. Number one is, did you secure the consent of an academic mentor before your application? That is the first thing. Purdue is the top. In fact, is Purdue is #1. We call them top one in universities. When it comes to agronomy, when it comes to agricultural science, Purdue is noted as the best in the United States. It is an highly competitive school for agriculture, agronomy. Purdue is #3 in engineering. Purdue is #13 in education. So there are courses that are really, really competitive when it comes to Purdue. So for you to do it the Purdue way and you want to get results in agronomy, I can tell you sincerely, the first thing to do is, before you even apply, seek the consent. Make sure you have someone who is an academic advisor. This does not really matter how good your essay is. It does not really matter if you have a first class. there are departments in Purdue that do not really care about your first class, and I need to repeat that again. There are departments in Purdue that are competency based. Your first class, nobody, they are not interested in your first class. And I'm saying this for you. So it might be because because basically what happens is faculty will have the faculty and admission committee will have a meeting, and then they will come up with all the different SOPs and say, oh, we have so many SOPs, so a lot of students apply. And if you have an academic mentor, or if you have someone who has seen your SOP before, or who you have contacted via code email, all that person will have to do is, oh, so person contacted me, can I look at his SOP? That is where it all starts from. But you just apply to the department, there is no contact, nobody, there will be nobody to pick up your work, even if it is very, very good. That's number one. Number two, a lot of emails get lost as a result of spam. Then there's a lot of things happening now. There's a lot of changes to the Purdue email, that even emails sent to faculty members went straight to spam. Even emails sent to send was going straight to spam, because they are trying to tighten up the mail security system. However, one thing I do is, this is why you have to check on LinkedIn. Almost all the faculty members that I know on Purdue, almost all the faculty members that I know on Purdue personally are on LinkedIn. In fact, it's part of their professional requirement. They're all on LinkedIn communicating their research. Some of them will post some of them will post their new paper, some of them will post their achievement. So they're on LinkedIn. So you have to go to LinkedIn and find a way to slide to the DM of this professor and reach out. Alternatively, you can contact a student in that department. For example, if you go to LinkedIn and you type Nigerian Student Association at Purdue, you are going to find a lot of us. If you type Iranian Association, just go to LinkedIn and type your country, then put plus Purdue. You are going to find a lot of responses. For instance, Roseline was one time the president of Nigerian Association at Purdue. I was one time a member of Graduate Student Education Council. Several things. So once you type it, you see people in that department, then you can reach out to them and say, hey, please, I'm trying to reach out to so professor. Do you by chance get to know them? Then that person can pick it up and then speak on your behalf. This is very, very important. Number three is that if Purdue, if all these things have been done and your admission is still under review, it is because you are missing a particular requirement. You are missing a particular admission requirement, and they are trying to hold on to your application, probably because they think you may have the capacity to pay the money. So there might be something missing in your application requirement. So what are you expected to do? Reach out to the department, the person in charge of that, the admissions coordination in the department. Reach out to them and tactically. Very good. So I just got an email from him now. He said, yes, I reached out to many professors without any replies, and after a series of follow-up emails, I did not get any response, so I decided to apply regardless. That is not the Purdue way. That is just, so like they said, we have the Purdue way. If you want to make your journey smooth, you have to go to the Purdue way. This is my suggestion for you. Look out for faculty members that are Nigerians. There are faculty members in Purdue Agronomy, Purdue Agriculture, that are Nigerians. We have, I'm not going to mention their names, but go and do your study, go and do your findings. But we have faculty members that are Nigerians. Reach out to them and then explain that to them. Then finally, which is number 4, what you intend to do is not connected to what they are doing. This one is very, very important. See, let me tell you, this is very, very strange. But you see, gone are those days when you come up with a research idea and you want it to be done that way. That is not making sense any longer. In this new generation where we are, your research is either contributing to the research of somebody else or expanding the study of somebody else. This is not the days or era of land-breaking research. Okay, this is not the days where you want to do a landmark research that has not been done by anybody. No, that is not making, nobody will listen to you. But go over, go to their LinkedIn, read their papers, read their articles, then find out some of the studies that they have done and connect your research to it. The moment you're able to connect your research to it, you will gain their attention. Like for example, I read out my code email. That I sent to my professor. My first paragraph was about me. This is who I am. This is what I have. This is me. And the second paragraph was about our study. Oh, I am so excited about the way you connected technology integration. You are bridging the gap in pre-service teacher transition. These are things that I would like to do. And this does not mean that when you get into the program that your research cannot change. Things can change, things can evolve, but for you to get in, that connection must be very strong, that your study is expanding their work. So that was why I said I'm going to give you a very straight reply. So you know what to do, Sergius. You have to go back to this drawing board and go and connect, go and find somebody to speak for you. Because when they bring all the documents to the admission committee, people will just say, oh, this person reached out to me, can you send me his SOP? This person reached out to me, can you send me his SOP? But since there is nobody to pick up your own, it's going to be there and the status will be waiting. All right, I have a question from Ayobami Ololade. Ayobami, does private university in the US offer full funding? Ayobami Ololade, nice question. Let me allow Tybresha Glass to start that question for us.
Yeah, that's such a great question, honestly. And I think the proper answer for me to say is I don't know. Only because private universities typically they are a little bit more expensive than the public universities. Um, that being said, I imagine that that private universities also offer graduate student funding. I've never attended a private university. I've only attended public universities. Um, but if the expectation for graduate school is that you will need to be funded, that you will need to have a source of income in order to do the work that they are wanting you to do, that you are wanting to do, then I would imagine that funding would also be available in that context. But again, um, the proper answer is that I don't know. But I would, if you're looking at an advisor at a private institution, I would ask them those same questions. Are there any
All right. Jafar, do you want to answer that? Do you want to add something? Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you that, like Tybresha said, I'm not going to tell you no, and I'm not going to tell you I don't know, but I will simply tell you that it is not advisable. So quote me, I didn't say yes, I didn't say no. I'm only telling you that it is not advisable. The truth is, if you are looking for funding and you really need funding, the best place to look out for funding is public universities. Look out for, because most of these public universities some of them are land grant funded universities, some of them are funded universities. So when you look out for public universities, you kind of find more, you will find more of you will find more funding availabilities in public schools, in public universities in the US. This in US and Canada at large. However, there are private universities that also offer full funding, and this could be because probably they are trying to set up a new department in their side, set up a new department, and they are looking up to recruit talent to that department. So these are possibilities why you can have private universities, but most private universities that I've seen, they offer partial funding. Most private universities that I've seen, they offer partial funding. But if you are a Nigerian, if you are an African, if you are an international student at large, and you want to travel to study abroad, if a home student is looking for full funding, I think it makes sense that as an international student, full funding should be your priority. And I'm saying this again: if Tybresha will tell you that at the top of our priority is full funding, And you are coming from a place where I will tell you that as much as possible, the first thing at your on your list should be funding. Universities like Cornell, universities like Princeton, most of these universities offer partial funding. Most of these universities offer partial funding. It might be 50%, it might be 70%. You need full funding. It's very important because accommodation is not as you think here. Accommodation is not as you think. Even that funding would, maybe when we will maybe probably we'll have another time to talk about that. Even that funding you are talking about, for example, a studio apartment is about $600. Okay, a one bed is about $700. A two bed is about $800. And this is not per year, this is per month. Okay, it's per month. So accommodate, things are expensive, you need funding. That is just the way to put it. You need funding. I can't say more than that. um I think the last question we will take today, I think the last question we are going to take today is the question about traveling, about visa application. About visa application. That's the last question we are going to take today because we have gone past 12. We have gone past 12. You are welcome, Ayobami. We have gone past 12, and this is 12:17. So I'm going to just be very brief about this because of the person who asked. So your application process, you apply. Once you are done with application, you secure a funding. Once you secure your funding, you are expected to accept. It's called acceptance letter. You sign your acceptance letter and you accept your funding, and then immediately you sign your acceptance letter. In your acceptance letter, you are going to see information. In your acceptance letter, you are going to see detailed information about how to access the portal. It's called International Student and Scholars Portal, ISS. For us at Purdue, we call it My ISS. We have access to access it. You see the information. That is where you start filling all the information you need to process your I-20. Now, your I-20 would the type of your I-20, and don't forget we have HB, we have H visa, we have B visa, we have J visa, we have F1 visa, we have F visa. Now, for your visa application, if you are given an F visa, which is either F1 or F2, it simply means that you are coming as an international student and you can work. You can work in the US, but your wife and your spouse cannot work. So your spouse will be coming here to support you. Number one. If you are getting a J visa, it means that you can work and your wife can work. But as a J visa, you are coming as an exchange scholar or or an academic scholar as a J visa. All these visa stuff, they all have their advantages and their disadvantages. Don't get it twisted, but that's not what we are talking about today. But you just need to know that it depends. The fact that the visa approved for you will determine a whole lot of things. So the moment you get your admission, if you are married, you can state in your I-20 that, oh, I have a spouse and I would like to come with my spouse. And there, excuse me, and there, I-20 will be issued for you, issued for your spouse, and if you are coming with your kids, will be issued for your kids. Now, you need this I-20 will be issued for you, issued for your spouse, issued for your kids. When you are done, you have to pay your service fee. You have to pay your service fee that you are coming to study in the US. You pay your service fee. Your I-20 will be shipped to you. You have to sign your I-20, then you get ready for your visa interview. You go to your, it's just a whole lot to unpack. You go to all the information you need to apply will be given to you. How you would apply for your visa interview, book times, because this is one of the most difficult things to actually get in Nigeria. To actually book time for your visa interview is a problem. A lot of people are having it, but you have to book that time for your visa interview and then you appear before your consular. This is what I want to say. The most important thing I want to say is this: if you are coming with your wife, three things are essential. If you are coming with your spouse or you are coming with your husband, three things are essential. Number one, You must be able to prove to the consular that your wife understands exactly what she's coming to do in the US, especially if she's coming on F1 visa. You must be able to prove to the consular that your wife is not coming here to work, that your wife is not coming here to work, that your wife is coming here to support you. Number two, you must be able to give them enough reasons to show them that your family and you, your family and yourself, that you have strong ties to your home country, so that you give them reasons to believe that both of you will return. Because the general idea is that once the spouse, as a spouse, wants to come to the US, the possibility of you returning back to your country is very slim, which is true, but you must be able to give them sufficient reasons to believe that you are going to return. Then number three is that please prepare yourself. Go for group interview. Don't do solo interview. Your interview should be group. Go for group interview. Go with your spouse, so that if a question is thrown to your spouse and your spouse is still and your spouse is caught unaware, you can easily come in and support in your response. I know there's a lot for us to unpack today, but I think we can't cover everything today. We have spent over 2 hours 22 minutes, and I want to say thank you to everyone who attended. We'll try and see if we can get. Can you please say something about IELTS for admission requirements? All right, Ayobami Ololade, let me quickly touch that before we go. There are universities that require IELTS. IELTS is your English proficiency. But for most universities now in the US and across the board, because Nigeria is considered as an English-speaking country, most universities will waive IELTS for you. However, you need to check with your department to know if this will be waived for you. For instance, in my department, IELTS is waived for Nigerians because Nigerian is English speaking. Yes, our English might be British and not American English, but English is English as long as you're able to communicate. English is English. That is number one. Number two is that for you to get that waiver, it must be within 5 years of your graduation. Because if you claim that you are coming from an English-speaking country, for you to get that waiver, it must be within 5 years of your graduation. 5 years. So if the period of your graduation, the time frame between your graduation and your application for your advanced degree is more than 5 years, it's not going to be waived for you. You need to go and write IELTS. Number three is that for you to get your IELTS waiver, you need to also be able to show artifacts that you meet the requirement of IELTS, and it should be waived for you, because you will be given an application waiver form to fill, and in that application waiver you need to be able to show artifacts that and artifacts could include your writing samples. It can include your writing samples. Have you written any essay? Did you write any essay for people? Did you have a publication? It could be your writing sample. Are you a co-author? Are you a co-author on a textbook? These are artifacts that you can show for your writing samples. So that is that for IELTS. Please let's just a word of gratitude to all our amazing panelists here. Come on, let's just thank you so much to our amazing panelists. You are amazing. You are so fantastic. It's such a privilege to be able to take your time, and man, I feel so big here that I'm able to pull you guys out of your busy schedule and bring you here. Oh my God, I feel so honored. Thank you so much for coming, and we really appreciate this. I hopefully believe that probably the next travel abroad webinar would be going straight to TikTok. We'll be using TikTok for the next travel abroad webinar, but for that we would have a lot of plans, because there are more benefits to reaching out to people. We have a more stronger community on TikTok than we have on Facebook. But I wanted also to use Facebook, so that at least we can also show people that this is possible, because a lot of people most people find it difficult to really stream to Facebook with just more than themselves. So we just wanted to show you that this is possible, and thank you. I see a lot of people saying thank you to our amazing panelists. People are saying thank you. You will get to watch the Facebook live, and you see everything happening. You see the comments in real time. And for those of you who are watching it on another device, you see what is happening in real time. Thank you, panelists. I'm grateful. I see a lot of people saying thank you. So thank you to our amazing panelists. And please, I tag these panelists on my post. Go and give them a follow. You see the different kind of strength they are bringing on board. Go and connect with them. If you need information about any of these topics, just go straight to them, connect with them. And please also don't spam their DMs with unnecessary messages. Don't come and say, oh, please, can you help me write this? Can you help me write my statement of purpose? I will block you. Well, that's for them. If you come and ask me to write your say, I will block you. I don't have that strength. I can't write statement of purpose for you. I can review statement of purpose for you. I can. Okay, I can review your application materials, but you must have done your work. For example, I've seen people sending me application materials with obvious grammatical error. That itself is a waste of my precious time. That I'm taking my time to review your application material, and I see grammatical errors there, tells me that you have not even done anything reasonable. So please, let's value and treasure the privileges we have to meet with these people. Panelists, please, your closing responses as we round off the day. Should we start with Roseline?
Oh, okay. Okay, so for me, what I would just say is that please try as much as possible not to give up. Because I know some of you, you're already saying that you applied, you didn't get anything. Like I told you my story the first time, I didn't get anything. I tried again the second time. So please don't give up. Even if it means that you will try again the third, the fourth time, yes, please go for it. There have been quite a number of opportunities I've actually had access to in my life that I got some on my third attempt, fourth attempt. So please don't give up at all. Just keep trying. And sometimes, yes, sometimes it means that you just have to, go back to the drawing board, as Mr. Emmanuel said. Maybe that maybe some things you may be doing wrong. During my own time, I wouldn't say maybe my second attempt was better as such, but I just felt like maybe it wasn't my time then, or maybe perhaps then it was just like the times were just against me. But the second time was just my, that was just my lucky time. Yeah, let me just put it that way. So like I said, please just keep trying, don't give up. Yeah, winners never quit, and then it has never win. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Roseline. Let's take the closing thoughts of Tybresha. I think you are muted from your end. Ty, are you there?
Emmanuel, you're muted.
Okay. Okay. Let's take that from Johnson first, and we come back to Tybresha. I think we are trying to. Johnson, please go ahead. Nothing to say.
I think you might have muted yourself.
All right. Okay, Tybresha, please go ahead now. Go ahead. We can hear you. Oh, Lee Moly. All right, please go ahead, Tybresha.
No worries. I guess as a final thought, I'm gonna actually co-sign Roseline and say don't give up. If you fall down 100 times, get back up 101. Because and sometimes advisors who are faculty who are doing this research, who are teaching, have so many responsibilities that sometimes you just need to put yourself back in front of them over and over and over again. I mean, even as a graduate student, sometimes they're like, I have students who want to meet with me, and I'm just like, I'm working like the whole week. Like, how can I meet? You know what I mean? So don't give up. Sometimes it's just that they're busy. It's not anything wrong. Sometimes it's not anything wrong with your application. Definitely check over your application. Make sure that it's tight, that it's watertight, that it's waterproof. But just keep trying. Keep trying. Keep putting yourself in front of people. Broaden your interests. Broaden the schools that you're applying to. But do keep trying.
Okay, please go. Thank you so much. Please go ahead, Johnson. Do you have anything to say? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much. They first said everything I wanted to say, so just keep trying. Don't give up. Yeah, that's it.
All
Keep
right.
trying. That's all.
Thank you. All right, Jafar.
Thank you so much. I want to mention that living as a graduate student is not easy. There are so many things that you need to take care of, and actually, the amount of salary that we are receiving is not that much enough to spend the weekend into a very fancy place. So try to think of something that make you happy, maybe very small things. Plan for those things if you're going to be a graduate student here in the US. So maybe if reading a book, watching some movies, things like that make you happy, please go ahead and plan for those things. Right now, I'm not able to pay for fancy things to fill out my free time. So I try to make myself happy by reading some books, spending time with my wife, watching movies or things like that. But be sure that you are going to be happy at the end. It is going to be it is worth it to be graduate student to spend some time, some maybe for 3, 5 years like this, and then you're going to reach your goal finally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jafar. I think you just helped me so that after this life, some people will not start sending me bills. You had the travel abroad webinar. You are in the United States. You are so rich. You can send Roseline bill or you can send Johnson bill. You see them, they are all smiling there. B, don't send me bill. Okay. You just said it. What we collect is not it's not that much as you people think it is. So well, that's just on the lighter mood. I for those like all they said, don't give up. Don't give up. There's a part of my story that I did not see that I skipped. And it was the part that I once sent a cold email and I did not get a response from a particular professor. And then I looked out for someone who is a notable figure in technology, ISTE specifically, ISTE. And it was because I met this person through the professional development training I took in my as a teacher, like I said, British Council. And this is Professor Ruto Koye, one of the current board of ICT currently in the US. And I was like, hey, I'm trying to go for instructional design, my PhD, and unfortunately, I'm not getting a response. Can you help me? And I was like, okay, tell me the name of the school. I am going to write the department. And she did write the department, and instantly I started getting responses. What is the message? Do not downplay the place of relationship. When you meet with people either on LinkedIn or you meet with people on social media, please and please, you don't know where that relationship will take you to. Don't downplay the place of relationship. Value your relationship, cultivate it. When someone follows you on LinkedIn, don't just think it is natural. Go back and send a thank you message. You don't know where you will be needing that relationship. On this note, we are going to call it a day. And for those of you who are watching us on Facebook, this is where we will end our live stream. Please, if you need the video, feel free to watch the replay of the video and then do the needful. We would always see you again. All right. For those of you on Facebook, see you. We are going to be stopping our stream on Facebook. Bye bye. See you.